Hello and welcome to the Chocolate Podcast. I'm your host, Ed Eaton. I'm joined by your co-host, Andrew Nason.
Hi, Ed.
Andrew's brought some clothes for us to wear. He's brought them from an excursion that he's just returned from. And I guess your reason for going on that excursion is the same reason that we are doing the episode we are doing, and that is on the Inca people. Can you tell us a bit about where you went, Andrew, and more importantly, why and what you learned?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Inca, and we're going to talk about them and chocolate. And I was in Cusco and Quillabamba in Peru, and we'll explain that story and why everybody misses the most important thing about the Incas.
Which is?
Which is that they consume chocolate. And it's a very impactful part of their society. And I would argue, and we are going to argue, a very impactful element of the whole of Mesoamerica. So that's a cliffhanger.
Yeah, big time. But a cliffhanger, luckily, we're going to be able to reach later in the episode. So I guess, first of all, before we dive into this, because just for listeners that aren't aware, I guess the sort of current consensus, if you were to type in on Google or into, I guess, an AI chatbot, which Google basically is nowadays, did the Inca eat chocolate? You're basically going to get the answer, no. Or did you mean Aztecs? Pretty much. What Andrew is saying is that having got his boots on the ground, actually having been there and spoken to Inca people, you've got some evidence to suggest otherwise. And as I said, we're going to return to that.
Yeah, everybody gets, Ed, obsessed with cocaine and coca.
True.
And they miss the main point.
They miss cacao.
They miss cacao.
They get
too many C's, coca. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
So why were you in Peru, first of all?
Because we are looking, as you know, for the world's most beautiful chocolate and the most expensive chocolate. And we, of course, found it there. We found it there. So, again, let's lead into this story in a way, and I think we always have to put Ed in a sort of unusual position, but I think this time we're going to put you in a usual position. So, Ed, you are now...
That's even worse. That worries me way more.
Ed, you're Ed.
Oh.
Okay, and you're on the English coast.
On the English coast.
And you go and decide, just as a normal, regular guy, to have on.
I should take my alpaca hat on.
Yeah, you could take. Yeah.
And my alpaca.
And
coat,
and you're gonna.
Normal English guy.
And you're gonna go and eat your national dish.
Which is this now? Right?
No, you're Ed. You're a regular guy.
Great. I'll have a cod and chips, please, Andrew.
Okay, right, Ed. What exactly is English about fish and chips?
I don't know. It's sort of caught off the coast of England, I hope, or probably not. And it's probably caught somewhere else.
Well, let's start with the easy one. Where do potatoes come from?
No, well, we know this. Originally, potatoes came from South and Central America.
Inca. They're from the Inca.
Yeah, they were brought back.
No, it's Incas. Okay, right. What do you normally put on your fish and chips?
Vinegar.
Other than vinegar,
ketchup.
Where do the tomatoes come from?
That would be... Is that the Inca?
Inca,
well? Yeah,
Inca, yeah. Okay, you're getting it right. And then you might grab a drink.
Yeah. I have a Coca-Cola, please.
Where does Coca come from?
The cola, yeah.
No, the Coca.
Well,
Coca, Ed.
My Coca-Cola,
don't miss the point.
My Coca-Cola would not.
You
not
are
have
drinking Coca.
I'm not. You are not. I worry. If the Coca-Cola company were to see this, they'd be very unhappy. You are not anymore.
No, you're in 1960. You're drinking Coca.
Yes, you're right. You're right. In the early 20th century, on the English coast, it would be.
So let's keep going. What's your fish and chips cooked in?
It's cooked in oil.
What oil?
Oh, probably seed oil.
What type of seed?
Canola oil or?
Yeah. Inca or sunflower oil, which is Inca. Right? Okay, and we're going to keep going. At the end, you grab a bar, because you need something sweet after your fish and chips.
Yeah.
What would the bar be? A chocolate bar.
Chocolate bar.
Right. So basically,
well, that's not
your fish and chips
and chocolate.
Your meal.
The chip shop near my house, where I went to university, They did a deep fried Mars bar.
Yeah,
You used to get
exactly.
that.
They always you have chocolate in a fish and chip shop. You always have Coca-Cola in a fish and
That
chip
is true.
shop. You basically
I would
you
normally
do
get
the
a Coke.
meal deal, right? Everybody does the same thing. It's the meal deal. Your entire meal is Inca food.
Yeah, the fish obviously.
Well, the fish, if you were eating Inca fish, it would be a piranha. But I'll give you that.
That'd be
Don't
horrible.
even claim that you're...
No, they've got Inca. Surely the Inca have pretty good fish, I suppose.
Well, they eat piranhas. Why the hell not?
they?
I mean, piranhas eat us, so why not eat them?
I can't imagine a piranha is very nice. I imagine...
It's delicious.
Have you had piranha?
Yeah, of course.
Have you actually?
Yeah.
What was it like?
Absolutely amazing.
This is why we need to get you to go to more countries. This is fact. Describe a piranha for both me and our listeners. I think that's...
What, a piranha?
Yeah, what does that taste like? What's it? How's it served?
It's
What's
beautiful.
with?
It's fried like our
Is
fish
it?
and chips. It's lovely, meaty, white flesh. It's a little gruesome because you see the teeth.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah,
They sort of keep them
the
in.
teeth are there.
You'd want that though, I think.
Yeah,
You'd be
but
disappointed if they removed those.
it's their staple food. I mean, it's why the hell not? It's delicious.
You'd be pretty surprised if you went to a local chippy and it was deep fried piranha. But I mean,
But it would come with the chips, the ketchup,
be nice.
the coca, and the chocolate. I mean, like literally,
Yeah.
I kid you not, your fish and chips is Inca food.
Like 75% Inca, yeah.
And we're gonna go into why this culture is so amazing on its botanics. So, but before we do that, I mean, I think Ed, we should now transfer you to. I mean, you don't really like playing a normal regular guy eating fish and chips.
Well, no, I did enjoy it. That's made me slightly hungry, but no, I enjoyed that one. It was a fun bit of non-imagination. It's probably what I will be doing in about an hour and a half.
So now you're going to be Pachacuti.
Ah, okay. That sounds like I put my hat back.
I think it's hat time. Yeah. So Ed, just tell me. Well, you're still just before you get into the regular.
Alpaca.
What's the highest mountain?
Hold on, am I answering as me or am I answering as Pacha?
Okay, no. Let's answer with you first.
The highest mountain I've been to would probably be.
Not probably. Can we have a more precise?
Okay, I think it's probably not. I think it's probably one when I went skiing, but I'm going to say for one that I know I've been to, Helvellyn. I climbed Helvellyn
that's not a mountain.
It is.
That's a bump in the ground. That's like, somebody in
Indentation.
Holland calling 150
I've not
meters.
really been that many places.
How high have you been in meters?
It probably was when I went to the Dolomites, but I don't know how high that. Probably about 1,600. Was that?
Yeah, that doesn't count as a mountain, Ed.
Pretty sure for my geography GCSE, a mountain's anything over 300 meters is a mountain.
Yeah, but we're talking Pachacuti.
Yeah.
And like their city.
We could have a Nepalese guy here who'd be going, "Oh, Pachacuti, that's nothing. Try K2."
Ed, the only civilization that actually, operates at basically 4,000 meters. Their city.
Yeah.
Their capital city was 4,000 meters or thereabouts. Doesn't that make, the Dolomites and Helvellyn?
No,
it's
crazy.
ridiculous.
And also,
It's the whole
there's
civilization.
There's not cities up there. There's no city on top of the Alps, is there?
Yeah.
And it's actually, interestingly, a different sport in football. When teams go play Peru have a sort of incredibly good home record because all of their players are so used to playing at sort of altitudes of 3,500 plus. And all the players, they get there and they get sort of altitude sickness. They can't get enough oxygen.
Yeah, you land in a place
Mexico
where
as well as a similar story.
You can't climb up the stairs, right? And these guys
Did
built.
you find that when you were there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, in their city, climbing a stair is exhausting.
Knackering,
Exhausting. But any case, we got to get back to the story. You're Pachacuti. You've created a kingdom at 4,000 meters, which is kind of probably one of the first, if ever, pristine civilizations created at 4,000 meters. It's just nuts. Okay, but you want your fish and chips, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you're still in this sort of regular guy, and you want to get your fish, and you want it fresh, and you want it from the Pacific coast. How long do you think it will take? And don't forget, you're in the 15th century. It's around 1440 our time, and you're the Inca king, and you want fresh fish. Can you get it?
Okay. Can I workshop here what I do? So, you get a fish, all right? You'd send someone down.
Ed, it's called fishing.
Yeah, fine. You'd send someone down. You'd send
fish.
someone down and fish in the sea, all right? You'd catch a fish. This will be genius. Even if it's not what they did, I think this is a better idea. You get the fish, you put it in a bucket, carry it up the mountain, let that fish go. Actually, 2 fish you need for this plan.
Right.
And then let them go in a sort of nice glacier bit, and then have a sort of fish farm on top of the mountain. That's
Okay.
what I would do.
Yeah, okay, fine. Like, you've taken a Pacific fish and you put it in ice cold water. Yeah.
That's good.
Not,
That's smart.
no.
That's smart.
Ed.
They would have liked. They would have.
Let's say Pachacuti is a lot smarter.
I reckon he tried that. I reckon he tried that first.
So what he actually does is say, I want fresh fish, and they have the Chakwi runners. I mean, of course, what everybody knows about the Incas is they built, 40,000 kilometers of roads.
Yeah, that's the big.
Right. I mean,
if you look at Peru, the shape of it,
Yeah.
it's bonkers. It's like a sort of big straw. Basically.
Yeah, and this is not like Roman roads, which is flat over the sort of Tuscan hillside.
Yeah, they had it easy. The Romans had it easy.
This is like a 4,000 meter
It's nuts.
road.
It's nuts. For context, I should say actually, the Inca. We're talking in terms of when they sort of pop up. It's around. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's sort of early 1200s, so 13th century up until the sort of 1500s.
Yeah,
when
think of it as Richard the Lionheart's on the throne, basically,
Yeah.
and this is when the Inca,
so sort of
in Cusco.
alongside the Aztec, who we're going to talk about in a later episode, and sort of after the peak of Maya civilization, if we're sort of placing it with our sort of Mesoamerican friends.
Ed, let's get back
north.
to our. You
Anyway,
want your fish and chips.
I'm building a road. I want fish and chips. I just thought a bit of context
you built
is good.
a road now.
Yeah.
Because you are the Alexander the Great of the Incas.
Thank you.
And you built the road from the Pacific coast, which is, I think, about 300 kilometers away. Now, today, a modern truck takes 2 to 3 days to cover that distance with the fish in a articulated, the guy's got to rest, etc., etc.
Because of all the bumps and stuff.
They're called hills, Ed. Just like can you at least get into the mindset? I thought you'd been preparing all week to be the Inca king, Pachacuti.
Yes, I have, and that's why
Good.
that's why I'm coming with such fresh ideas.
So they're called mountains in Inca.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's that word?
Not little bumps.
No, I was more talking about it's difficult conditions for a truck to drive in. I think it would be you couldn't.
And that's more like a swimming motion than a driving.
I imagine. I'll try my best to get an Inca truck driver guest on in a few weeks, but I imagine those roads are not easy to drive on. Anyway,
well, it's not just roads. It's like there's ravines. It's bridges across ravines and the valleys, and it's like. This is difficult stuff, right?
It's up and down. Anyway, back to the runners.
The Chakwi. So what you do, because you are Alexander the Great, you build every 2 to 3 kilometers. You have a guy in a little hut, and he runs very fast, 2 to 3 kilometers.
Oh, it's like a sort of relay
at 4,000 meters, right? And you can get that fish from the coast fresh because you wrap it in seaweed. You're smart. Within 24 hours. So you can probably, there's an argument whether it's 24 or 48 hours, but the Spanish actually witnessed this. The fish arrived fresh on his table.
That must have been...
And it beats pretty much modern freight with refrigeration.
Yeah,
And so I hope you're getting a sense of the technology of these guys.
That's not really technology. That's more just running. It's amazing. But, that must have been so knackering. Also, you sort of hope
Wait, Ed, it's not one guy, right?
No, I know.
It's a relay.
I know, but...
It's in an organisation.
You know for a fact that if you were one of those relay people, you were looking at the person before you and going, I've got to beat that fella. I've got to.
Yeah, and Ed, because you designed this system, how do you think you tell the guy in the shed that you're about to come, he needs to get out of bed, get ready to run?
This is purely sort of stolen from Lord of the Rings, but I imagine you'd light some sort of either you have a big horn, which they have in Lord of the Rings, or you light a big flame.
Well, you have a shell horn.
Oh, there we
yeah,
go.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have time to light. You're running at 4,000 meters. You know, this is higher than you've been in your lifetime.
I think you could. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You're not going to burn. No. You have to. You blow a horn, a shell horn, from which has come from the Pacific coast, and that tells the guy to get ready, out of bed, and then he's going to run 2-3 kilometers at full pace.
What if though? What if you had to? I don't know. One of your runners did a hammy or something, did an ACL. You're stuffed.
No, the fish has got to be delivered, otherwise you're going to die.
Yeah, but if you do your hamstring, you can't run.
Look, Ed.
I reckon there must have been suppers missed when those runners got
No, I think you're missing like a very significant part of the story. They're running on chocolate because they have cocoa beans in their pouches, and that gives them super high energy and stimulation.
Running on
and
something
also,
else as well.
when they had the ACL, the coca, the cocaine. And coca helps with high altitude, right? So
Is that right?
it's a really important element of kind of being able to operate at 4,000 meters and providing the energy and stimulation. And that's why the Inca king regulated the use of coca. Not from a sort of like, oh, it's a drug. No, he controlled its distribution.
And in terms of sort of, obviously coca's a leaf, and it would have been a sort of leaf back then. They might have been able to sort of extract stuff from, but it would have been very different from, I guess, what we think of as cocaine today, even though it is made from the same thing.
Yeah, they weren't. I don't think they were processing it into a white powder. They were chewing the leaf, and they were using it in teas.
And it probably would have been very, very addictive, but it wouldn't have been anything really like the sort of the harmful effects we see from sort of modern day sort of synthetic cocaine.
Yeah, I mean, coca is widely used in Peru today. It's totally legal. It's just normalized. It's like having a mint tea. Of course.
Did you?
I mean, how else are you going to survive 4,000 meters?
You had coca leaf?
Of course we did.
What was it like?
It's fantastic. Yeah.
More?
Couldn't get enough of it. It's got a lovely bitter taste, and of course
you chew it as a leaf.
You chew it as a leaf, and you infuse it as a tea, and it's absolutely delicious, and it's completely normalized. It's like having a mint tea.
Oh, really?
There's absolutely no. It's got a lovely taste to it, and when you mix it with chocolate, it's actually unbelievably delicious.
Yeah, obviously you can't get that back here.
Yeah,
in
it's
the
a
UK.
little bit more difficult because we've kind of gone a little extreme. And of course, the cocaine production itself is a pretty horrific industrial process. I think they use. I was told, they use gasoline.
Yeah, no, they do. Right.
I mean, so the difference between a beautiful coca leaf and its stimulation and modern day gasoline driven cocaine is night and day.
Chocolate to a cream egg.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
it's really a
bastardization
disgusting
of this plant that's really important to their culture.
So, in any case, you're the king. You've got your fish fresh, and we're now. I want you to.
I hope I was appreciative of that. That is mad. They did that.
Yeah, I mean the whole system, and I want to sort of figure out how. As the king of the Incas, you really achieved this. I want to understand kind of the brain behind this. And I think there's no better place to discover that than, forget about Machu Picchu, okay? Just forget about it. And let's go to an area of concentric circles at 4,000 meters, a place called Marais. And I want, Ed, you to tell me what these beautiful concentric circles in a place called Marais in Peru are for, given you're the king of the Incas.
It's hard. Yeah, you'd think I would know.
You'd think you know. I mean, it was your brain.
Yeah, I'd done it. So what? It's sort of multiple concentric on like stone, right, on the ground.
Yeah, it's carved does
it stick out of the ground?
It sticks out of the ground, and it goes in concentric circles up the valley, and they're perfect circles. They're absolutely beautifully carved.
I've got a guess. I'm going to guess it's some sort of clock/calendar that you sort of use, maybe, I don't know, as a sort of almost like a sundial, or as a way of sort of tracing the days and months, or that sort of thing?
Ed, look, you're at 4,000 meters, okay? You know,
That's not a
things
bad
are
guess.
different.
That's not a bad guess.
It's a
What
bad
do you mean
guess.
things are different?
I don't have time
No,
for
sorry.
your calendar shit.
What does things are different mean?
Need to survive. You know, I'm in an incredibly difficult environment. I can't breathe. No food grows here. The soil is super thin. There's loads of earthquakes. The weather changes. I mean, like, look, okay, I'll be gentle on you because you've only been up a little hill that's only a meter high.
Helvellyn is not a little. Helvellyn
That's
is
a little
hard.
hill.
That is a hard climb.
That would be like some Dutch person going that they've got mountains in Holland. You know, when they're under the sea.
Helvellyn is a tricky climb.
To the Inca
People are going to write in and say,
king.
Andrew, interesting podcast, but you're underestimating how difficult a climb Helvellyn is.
Yeah, I mean,
Tough work.
Yeah,
It's very steep.
it's a quarter of the height that their cities are,
Yeah, that
let
is.
alone their
Yeah,
actual
but you don't have to
mountains.
walk to those. You get.
They didn't have diesel.
did.
They had to go on alpacas and llamas.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, actually, they couldn't sit on them. They had to walk on them, walk with them.
Yeah.
Sorry. Any
Anyway.
case, what is your main concern?
For survival. Oh, there's some sort of agriculture thing.
Correct.
Were they?
Yeah. This is, I mean, arguably the first scientific and genetic experiment on agriculture in the world. This is what I want to bring out in this. I mean, they are botanical geniuses. And why is this relevant? Because we'll get to the cocoa in a second. So they created these, and what I think there's a 15 centigrade difference between the bottom and the top. And therefore they were able to experiment with incredible diversity of plants.
So it's almost like a sort of a tiered greenhouse.
It's a tiered greenhouse with different soil types
amazing.
because they had to adjust the soil types. And this is why they have, Ed, when you go and have your fish and chips on the seacoast, you just ask for potato. That would be to an Inca like...
I don't think it's something it's a bad thing.
They had 4,000 different types of potato. They knew exactly which one would grow at which altitude and which was the best. They're probably the first people in the history of the world to freeze dry. Okay, they actually freeze dried their potato. It's called chuno. It tastes pretty revolting.
Rank.
But they basically leave the potato out overnight in the freezing cold. Then the next day they stand on it and compress it. And then it kind of goes moldy, I guess. Yeah. And then they leave it freeze dry, stand on it, and it becomes freeze-dried potato, which is chuno. And they eat it today.
Why?
That
sounds...
Ed, you're at 4,000 meters. You need to survive. These runners get exhausted.
So what? That would sort of mean it would last longer because it was sort of...
Correct. I mean, they think it would
last a while, though.
Yeah, but deep-fried, freeze-dried, it lasts 2 years.
Oh, okay. Well,
and this is what... Part of your genius was you created storehouses around the entire landscape. So you'd have the road, and when I say storehouses, I mean some of the towns had something like, don't quote me, but 3,000 storehouses that could store something like 70 swimming pools worth of food, and in that would be maize, chuno, cacao, and they knew that if their society had a problem, there was an earthquake, they couldn't get food, these storehouses became basically the kind of, the Goldilocks of their society. They knew they could feed their people, which is why their population expanded to between 10 and 15 million,
it's
right?
Nuts.
It's a massive...
That's one of the really big things, as well as sort of being these incredibly creative agricultural people in terms of both like method and also like, just as you said, like, ingenuity. The speed of expansion of the Inca is like completely unheard of in terms of first of all, the empire grew in the way that lots of empires grow over history by sort of like gobbling up lots of other little empires and sort of making them into one big one.
Yeah.
And what's interesting when you look at the Incas compared to the Maya, for example, we talked about this in our Maya episode. We talked about it with Dr. Ed, the archaeologist, and we had him on. The Maya it's a useful word, and there was similarities between all these people. But there were a number of different city-states that would have at times fought each other, and at times been completely different. And there might be even different languages spoken in parts. But overall, they're sort of culturally similar enough that we go, those are the Maya people. The Inca were ruled by one person. All of these people were ruled by one person. This one seat of power, which is super, super, super rare in South and Central America to have one seat of power in one city that rules over all these cities in this huge, long. I mean, it's really hard to imagine.
Yeah, without written text
exactly.
as well. I mean, but and part of it, I think, is this sort of, as I say, what we're saying is the core of this is their botanical genius.
Yeah.
Enabled to provide food, for standing armies of up to 140,000 people at 4,000 meters, right? I mean, it's absolutely crazy.
It is amazing, though, when you think about, you talked about that, the guy with the fish and doing all that incredible farming. These are ingenious methods, right? But did they not sort of think, early days, in the 1200s, why don't we just go down to the beach and just stay there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a very obvious and simple reason for that is, if you're at 4,000 meters, your empire is untouchable.
Yeah, no one's, you're right.
Nobody is going to, I mean, try attacking Machu Picchu. I mean, you're not even, Ed, you wouldn't get over 1,000 meters. You'd just stop there, right? You've got another 3,000 meters to go.
I would not be able to launch an invasion on Machu Picchu. I'll be the first to admit that.
And secondly, you run out of food. And these guys, I say, they storehouses, but their storehouses were, more genius than we even give them credit for. They were positioned in places of the valley that have absolutely perfect condition, like a fridge. They never, weirdly, during the seasons, they almost never change. So not only were they incredible botanical engineers creating the first, centuries before Mendel started experimenting on different types of, they had freeze-dried food and fridges that worked. And you can see them today. They're still up there, and they are able to keep their maize at an absolutely perfect temperature all the way through.
Well, this is why I in the same way, I mean, it's a weird analogy, but Kenya as a nation has for a long time dominated long distance running. And the theory is that because Kenya's similarly massively, massively up high, by the time these guys come down to sort of ground level, do the Olympics, they're so much better. They're basically doing it on easy mode, essentially, when they're running sort of marathons and things. And I wonder if part of the reason, actually, the Inca were able to perform this sort of completely unique cultural expansion and domination, where they not only sort of expanded culturally, expanded their ideas and their language, but also managed to keep this central seat of power, which is super rare, is because they basically started life on absolute hard mode.
Yeah.
They were living in basically the most difficult conditions, 4,000 meters above sea level, freezing cold, almost no crops, absolutely nothing, and they were able to basically, by the time they actually got a bit lower, they'd meet these people with their sort of feet up, going, "Isn't life easy?"
Yeah,
and these guys were basically like, well, sorry, we've been living on hard mode. I think we'll take over from now.
Again, think about where they were. They're at 4,000 meters freezing, but on one side, they've got the Pacific coast, and the other, they've got the Amazon, the largest garden and larder in the world.
Yeah.
So, of course, you're going to build roads, 40,000 kilometers of roads to connect those two dots. And this is why, as you're sitting in Cusco in the Sun Temple, eating your fried fish with chips and ketchup, and you're feeling pretty damn good, you're also going to have pineapple, cocoa, chocolate from the jungle, which, by the way, just as an aside to your point about altitude, they called the jungle hot.
Yeah, you would. I'm not surprised.
Not a good place to go. So you don't really want to live there or go there and invade there, but you definitely want to trade.
Yeah.
And this is, again, this is the essence of it. They not only did they build, botanical geniuses, and can I just point out on the potatoes with 4,000 potatoes, like when Western culture took the potato, they took one strain, right? And we know that because in Ireland, when the famine hit, that one strain was blighted and,
That was terrible.
hundreds of thousands died.
Yeah.
The Inca philosophy on botanics was incredible diversity across all their terraces and this beautiful concentric circle sort of, in Moray was all about hardiness, diversity. They would never plant, more than one. It would be inconceivable. They would have like
inconceivable.
Inconceivable. They would have like 20 or 30 at different. So diversity was an essential part of the botany. So, Ed, one of the other aspects I think that we want to explore is, of course, their chocolate. And, I think next episode we're going to go to the Amazon and really explore how they created beautiful chocolate in the Amazon. But before we do that, let's go into what made the Incas tick in terms of the hallucinogens. What stimulants
these guys
did they go for? And, if you're going to be building roads and botanics and getting fresh fish, you're going to be on something. That's just not normal. So let's go and dive in.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about some. We've talked about coca. Obviously, it'll be the big one, probably the one that most people, when they think about the Inca and they think about that part of the world, would associate with. As mentioned, it's Andrew's been trying it. So probably you're better off to describe the sort of effects of it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, when you're suffering from altitude sickness, having that stimulant is a major benefit.
Yeah.
No question. And they had none of the problems that modern society has with cocaine. They just have
it would have been addictive though. In the same way, I mean, tobacco. In the same way, tobacco leaf is coca. Coca is super addictive.
It is. I mean,
obviously, I'm not saying if you have it. I don't know. We go visit Peru, you're going to come back with a massive coca leaf habit. But there is. Correct me if I'm wrong. It is a sort of addictive substance. I mean, so is coffee. I mean, like
exactly.
Addictive, not necessarily bad.
The same level as a coffee and a stimulant. And of course, they wouldn't have had coffee, but cocoa was their coffee. If you like. So that's one. Obviously, we've got some of the most beautiful chocolate in the world that we're gonna taste. And why is that? Because we've talked about their road networks. Of course, they linked the Amazon to their food sources.
Yeah.
So they had pineapple, they had cocoa, and where they did that was a place called Quilibamba, which is a city that has always been the trading post between the Incas and the Amazon people. And of course, the Incas didn't want to go in the Amazon because it's hot.
Yeah.
And the Amazon guys can't operate in
cold,
freezing,
high.
high. So there was a natural place where they traded, and of course,
I bet it was fun there.
Yeah.
I bet that was fun. You can imagine, because would have had basically everything in this place.
I mean, this is literally the world's greatest larder. What else, Ed, would you...
Well,
look, you've got the whole Amazon to get yourself stimulated.
I know for a fact they had booze. They were experimenting, fermenting stuff.
They were, absolutely.
I was doing a bit of reading on sort of the differences between the Maya and the Inca in research episode. One that was a chapter on sort of human sacrifice in both. And the Inca were much less interested in human sacrifice on the scale the Maya were. When they did human sacrifice, it was very rare. And it would normally it was much less violent, if that's possible.
I mean, again, I think...
But they would basically give coca and alcohol to basically the children of like really, really posh noble people, and then leave them in caves, and that was their human sacrifice. Okay. It was a real honor.
Yeah,
so
I don't
they had
think
coca. We know they had booze.
Okay, what else? Come on,
we're in South America. I mean, I'm sure you're going to talk about sort of magic mushrooms and things, but I mean, ayahuasca would be one that
ayahuasca is the number one, isn't
and
it?
that's not a light one. Ayahuasca will completely sort of change your brain if I'm under.
Yeah, it contains. There are two elements to it. It's a leaf with DMT in.
Yeah.
Called basically psychotic leaf.
Yeah, that sounds like the sort of stuff they were having.
And then it's got some, can't pronounce it. It's got a vine, which is called some Bani preposterous vine or something. You've got a psychotic leaf
and a preposterous vine.
preposterous
Sounds like
vine,
an Edward
and
Lear
you're
poem.
going to see jaguars appearing in purple,
Yeah, this stuff.
because it completely, I believe with DMT, it hits your brain instantaneously, and therefore your brain doesn't have the ability to adapt, and therefore it goes immediately visual and psychedelic, and
sounds horrible.
it's pretty powerful
It
visions.
just sounds like something I definitely do not want to do.
But I think if you're the Sun King, in your Sun Temple of Cusco at 4,000
Every
meters,
time I think I'm going to say couscous, every single time I go,
Okay.
what?
No, it's Cusco.
I'm so used to talking about food with you.
Couscous and Cusco are not connected,
Yeah.
Ed.
No, I
You
know.
there's
That's why.
different,
That's why I keep being like, really, couscous?
we're talking different
Yeah.
societies. So you're gonna see visions and be
Yeah, for
quite
sure.
hallucinogenic. But that's not all. You've got the whole Amazon. I mean, I'm sure in your research, Ed, you came across the San Pedro cactus.
No, I didn't. I have got a guess of a random thing that you might find.
Which is the Andean vision cactus.
That sounds also
You're
horrible.
going to see some pretty interesting visual hallucinations.
Is there a sort of toad licking thing they did? I know that's
I think
that's something that pops up in a number of different cultures, particularly ones in rainforest.
Well, I've also got the Vilica Yopo snuff hallucinogen.
Basically, your research. What have you been doing in Peru?
Well, I mean,
it
look,
sounds like it's been a sort of week-long bender where you've been trying all these different Peruvian
I mean,
stimulants.
look, when in Rome,
Yes.
you're in the Amazon. You're going to deal with things like the tobacco there. Of course, they had tobacco, but it was much, much stronger than
Really?
European.
Stronger?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's called Morongo or something. It's like super powerful tobacco. And then we've got another one. I'm going to call it Brugsmania, but
Nice.
I'm going to get it's a dangerous spirit plant. I mean, basically, you got the Amazon. You're going to almost everything is going to make you hallucinogenic and stimulating.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So chocolate was probably the least of it. But basically, the shamans were on this stuff the whole time, and no wonder they start.
Yeah, no wonder they decided to live 4,000 meters up a mountain.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
They were probably they're probably on a plane of existence that we can only imagine. I want to talk about chocolate now. I think it's the elephant in the room in this episode, chocolate, because as teased in the introduction, if you were to Google, did the Inca have chocolate? The answer would be no. I could do it now. It would be no, they did not, or at least not until the Spanish came. Now, both Andrew and I, in different ways, have been sort of looking into this. I've obviously been stuck in rainy London researching it. Andrew, you've been in Peru. I think I'm going to start off with what I found online, and then I think Andrew has been to the horse's mouth. He's spoken to people actually on the ground, and he's going to sort of.
Can I just rephrase that? The alpaca
the
and
alpaca's
llamas.
mouth. Yes,
like,
you're right.
I've
Alpaca's
looked in the
spitting
eye.
mouths, exactly.
Spitting
You're
mouth.
Right. Initially, my research was chocolate was not something that was really had at all by the Inca. That's the first thing I sort of discovered, and that seems pretty much the consensus for quite a long time. But I sort of thought to myself, we spoke with the Mayans, and one of the things that was really interesting was in the last sort of 10 years of research, because of this ability that we now have to trace theobromine on pots, which we didn't have until about 10 years ago when the Hershey's factory basically paid a load of money for scientists to work it out. The time scale of when we know chocolate has existed has gone back about 3,000 years.
Yeah.
So I went in going, look, just because the consensus is there, and that consensus is quite old, doesn't necessarily mean that is true. So I looked into it, I read some really up-to-date scientific papers, and what I found really interesting is that there's a paper into the Quito people. The Quito people are based in, geography nerds will know, Ecuador. Quito, of course, city in Ecuador. And they were around sort of before and during the Inca people. They're sort of like 500 to 1,500. That's that sort of era. And they are similarly high up in the mountains to the Inca. They're not down in the Amazon. They're not anywhere where you could conceivably grow cacao, at least back then. Obviously, as we've spoken about before, you need sort of humid conditions down low with midges, etc. And we found, despite thinking previously that no one like that had any cacao, we found traces of cacao on loads of pots that we've tested in these Quito people. Now, the Quito, we mentioned about the Inca sort of gobbling up empires. That's exactly what happened to them. They were gobbled up by the Inca. They became Inca people. Now, it's academic whether or not you say, okay, that is Inca having cacao or not having cacao, because they weren't Inca and they became Inca. But it does show for a fact, proven, that people who are living in high altitudes were having cacao. Now, in my opinion, and Andrew's going to come in and give us some actually having been there, in my opinion, when you read about the amount of trade that was going on with the Inca, their obsession with trade, these are people that clearly wanted to explore the world. They built, as you mentioned, hundreds of kilometres of roads.
40,000 kilometres.
Yeah, they were trying, I mean, everybody, cactus and substance under the sun. The idea that these people who were living alongside was south of the Aztecs, but would have come into contact with the Aztecs and people who the Aztecs were trading with. The idea that they would not have taken on this food that the Aztecs not only ate but used as currency. I think the consensus that the Incas weren't having cacao is nothing short of preposterous, and I imagine, while it's not happened yet that I can find, I mean, the Quito study is only in the last year. I think in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, we will find theobromine traces on Inca pots. Right,
Ed. You remind me of a sort of Indiana Jones kind of inspector with your magnifying glass studying pots.
Yeah,
and you're missing.
Well, I've not been to Peru.
Like the forest from the tree. Okay, so the forest is literally above your head, but you're obsessed about this pot, and therefore you're missing the whole point.
I think that's hard. I think that's a really, really interesting bit of information.
We've agreed that we've got the largest larder ever created on Earth, which is the Amazon.
Yeah, for sure.
We've agreed that they trade with Amazonian people.
For sure.
So now let's go and look at their chocolate. And of course, we believe, and you heard it here first, that this area of Peru, just south of Quillabamba, is where the cocoa plant actually first emerged.
100%
into the
agreed. 100% agreed.
Right.
That came from the Amazonian basin. I think we
very close to this Inca city of Quillabamba. And so this is the first actual genetic example of chocolate.
Yeah, the cacao.
And there are two types of one is chuno, and the other one, which is very, very interesting to me, is the mother of God. It is the actual genetic plant is called the mother of God, and we think chuno and the mother of God are the original cocoa tree. Right?
Theobroma obviously means sort of God. Tree,
right? The food of the gods.
Yeah.
But this is the mother of the god.
Of the god, fine.
So this is the
chocolate mother, basically.
The mother, the cocoa tree that created the worldwide obsession.
Sure.
So there's a mum here, and we're going to find her, and you're going to taste her now. And so you can look at pots all you like with your little,
that is
microscope.
Looking at pots is really important.
But what if it's pre-pot?
Yeah, look, but
and we can tell that because we've got the chuno is the most genetically diverse strain of cacao tree, and therefore we know that it's the original one, and we know they've been consuming it because of the way it was spread around the forest.
You've got to look at the time difference there. I mean, I agree. But I think when you're looking at actually sort of concrete evidence, yes, absolutely right. We know that Theobroma cacao, that tree, first grew in the Amazon basin, but that is thousands of years BC. That's sort of 4,000 years before the first Inca started popping their heads in modern day Peru. 100%. It's another reason, right? That the Amazon basin, you can grow cacao. It has the conditions for that. Cacao was massively popular in Mesoamerica up north. 100%. It for me feels surprising that people weren't growing cacao, and I think even there is.
They were growing. I mean, we know
we
now
know that.
for 100% fact that they are growing cacao. And let's now taste some of that. But I think there's also a very important element today that you get an echo of this debate. When the Peruvians drink cacao now, they drink it just with hot water. So what they're saying culturally is, I understand what beautiful chocolate is. I mean, look, I've got 4,000 potatoes, so I'm going to know my different types of chocolate.
Yeah.
And I'm going to perfect and improve that chocolate. And guess what? I can drink it just with water.
Yeah.
I don't need all that other shit you put in it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And to kind of support your this presentation of kind of Peru and the Incas, I guess, sort of historical Peruvians, which of course they are, is the fact that in sort of modern day gastronomy, 2 of the best 3 restaurants in the world are in Peru.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like
this is not surprising. They are botanical geniuses
and sort of forged in difficult conditions as well.
In difficult, just like we've said that chocolate grows best at altitude. Also, some of the best coffee grows best at altitude. You know, deep fried potato, not deep fried. I keep saying deep fried. I mean deep.
Yeah. You're anti-deep fried. We did that the whole last season, was that?
I mean
freeze-dried potato, which sounds great.
You know, which sounds very... Let me tell you, deep fried is better than freeze-dried.
Yeah, I agree. That's not going to be the headline of this episode.
Do not eat that stuff.
Anyway, I want to try. So Peru now, obviously, present-day Peru is a massive producer of chocolate.
Yes,
and I want to hear about your thoughts.
We're going to argue that it's the best and most expensive chocolate in the world. Well, we're going to taste it now. So Ed is now going to taste
for the first time. This is from.
Are you like still in your method acting? Are you still the king of the Incas, or are you Ed, the normal guy eating fish and chips?
I did let it slip. I've kept my Inca King outfit on. I think I did go slightly back into Ed fish and chips, but I like to think I'm fluid between those 2 characters.
Okay, so let's
combine them into
keep you as the king of the Incas.
Lovely.
And we know they're botanical geniuses. We know they worship diversity of plants. And we know that they're going to eat beautiful cacao because of the energy element and the stimulant. I mean, if you're going to operate that high, you're going to need stimulation, right? So I'm going to ask you first to try the 100% Chuno.
I'm just going to hold up. This comes in this sort of big silver bag. And this is 100% Cusco Peruvian cacao. And it's got all sorts of points. It's got a flavour profile. I don't look at that.
Yeah. And it's from original beans, and they're part of the team that produce this cacao and protect the rainforest.
So this is 100%. This
so
is 100%
there's no sugar,
cacao.
And I want you to taste that.
So it's a lot. It's a lot lighter than a lot of the dark chocolate we've had on this before. I'll let Andrew finish rummaging.
Sorry.
No, that's all right.
Just rummage. And
it's a very, very small opening in the chocolate bag. sort of natural thing to stop you. Okay, so it's a little bit lighter than what I'm used to, and there's some flavour notes on the back, so I'm keen to. I promise I didn't look, but I'm keen to get those right. I mean, okay. First thing, it's almost like a whiskey. It's really. Like almost like malty and boozy. It's almost boozy.
It is almost boozy, yeah.
Like I think it is like a really sort of malty, or I wouldn't say almost like smoky whiskey. It has that sort of richness that you get on the sort of back of your throat, and then on the front, it's got a sort of sweetness, but the sweetness you might get from like a really nice bit of fruit. It's not a sort of. I mean, you can tell it hasn't got sugar in, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's got that sort of like sharp, sour / sweet that you get from a delicious orange. It would be really, really nice with some salt. I think that I think if you had that and some flaky salt, you'd be in paradise. But that's unbelievably nice.
Isn't it unbelievably nice? There's no sugar, there's no sweetness.
It's incredibly complicated. I think like the taste you get in the first sort of 1 second is completely different to the taste that you end up with after letting it sort of melt in your mouth for 5-10 seconds. Yeah, I mean, you could eat the whole bag.
Yeah,
as well.
you could,
It's
yeah.
not a lot of dark chocolate, and this is not necessarily about bad dark chocolate. Some really good dark chocolate, very very nice, but you don't want to have loads and loads and loads and loads.
No.
Because it's just a bit too much, and it sort of, I don't know, coats your mouth and that sort of thing. This, while rich and complicated, I could sit there and quite comfortably have that whole bag.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, again, with no sugar,
This is good stuff.
we've got beautiful floral, kind of, I agree, whiskey notes. Is absolutely delicious. It's buttery as well. It's not at all
It melts
bitter.
so nicely in your mouth.
It's got a beautiful melt, and this is the mother of God, right?
Yeah.
We're actually tasting.
And are you going to sort of use this
original chocolate?
Are you going to try and bring this stuff in back to the
Absolutely,
UK? Yeah.
absolutely. And I think once you've tasted that, the concept of the Incas not having chocolate is just utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
Only some sort of pottery obsessed, scientist with a sort of, it's a ridiculous concept because this is so beautiful, and they would have extracted everything of beauty from the Amazon, including a very rare plant called the dreamfish, which is another hallucinogen. I mean, like, the Amazon just seems to be full of.
It's basically like a pharmacy.
It's like a huge pharmacy. So we're now going to try it with sugar and see if that brings out the flavour even more.
This is sort of 65%.
This is 65%.
Same chocolate, 65.
Same chocolate. Chuno chocolate.
Well, really interesting. I mean, obviously delicious. Like, that is...
It's properly delicious, isn't it?
But, I mean, like, obviously sugar is great. I've said it many times in the episode. Sugar's an amazing thing, and I love it. But it's a lot less interesting, that one with the sugar. Don't you lose a bit of that, like, complexity.
You do.
I mean, my word, you could genuinely... That is astounding. And I'm a big lover, as our long-time listeners will know. I'm a real lover of sugary chocolate and that sort of thing. And that is some of the best I've ever had, genuinely.
Yeah, this is beautiful chocolate.
But you do, just by having that little bit of milk and that little bit of sugar, you do lose a couple of those notes. You lose a bit of that when I talked about that, like, orangey sweetness in that sort of, it's sort of sweet and sort of tangy. That's gone, as has that sort of, those sort of really strong malty notes as well. Those have slightly been dulled too. And instead you get that sort of milky sugariness. But luckily, milky sugariness is really, really nice. So that is also a very, very, very nice bit of chocolate.
This is one of the world's most expensive chocolates. It's one of the most sustainable chocolates. It's one of the most rare chocolates. And this is really why we're obsessed with chocolate. I mean, this is...
Oh, you would just love... If you got a bar of that for Christmas or an Easter egg made out of that, it'd be gone within minutes.
Basically, you want to just swim in a river of this.
It's so... And like I recommend people go back and watch them because they are classics. On so many of our early episodes, I was sort of tormented and forced to eat, I don't know, a huge quantity of quite bad quality milk chocolate. And very, very quickly, even as a real lover of that sort of thing, starts to get very sickly and unpleasant. You start feeling it in your stomach and in your mouth.
Yeah.
This stuff, I mean, you could just eat bags and bags and bags of
bags because it's absolutely beautiful. And I think that's what we do in our next episode is we go now into the Amazon. We go to hot land.
We're going to hot land.
And we actually discover the origins of cacao. And there's a really big story here, which I'm we're going to tell now.
You're going to tease.
I'm going to tease you now, but this is our theory of everything. So,
I don't like sometimes you say "our" and it's something which I've not heard before. I think you should I might like it.
I'm sure you came across it in your research.
No, I might have done, but this is, you can't just launch it on our theory. That's not. I'm not saying I won't agree.
So basically,
but I'm with our listener here.
Let's go with, we've talked about the Olmecs, and let's call them the popcorn people. They were the people that first domesticated maize and corn. And we've discussed before, without your staple grass, be it wheat, rice, or corn, you ain't going to have a civilization. However much you love your potato, you still need that grass.
Yeah, for sure.
So what happened, we think, is that the Olmecs transferred maize south across Latin America or Southern America. And of course, the Incas picked it up, and they turned their maize into this incredible.
These would have been before. These would have been where the Inca were, but before the Inca.
Yeah,
right?
correct.
So,
the Wari people
yes, exactly.
or whatever.
So in the Andes.
In the Andes, and of course, the botanical brains of the Inca turned the maize into this incredible kaleidoscope. I mean, Ed, look, I know you when you go and eat your fish and chips. You undoubtedly.
I do love fish and chips, actually.
Get your sweet corn as well from the tin with that green Jolly Giant. And that, to an Inca person, that would be like
I've made you
blasphemous.
I've made you a really nice sweet corn salad before that I know you really liked.
Yeah.
I am offended that you've betrayed.
Yeah, but it was it was yellow. It was a single hybrid. It was really.
You're right.
You've got absolutely no creativity. These guys have got like over 100 different types of corn.
You make it sound like I've got
it's
the choice.
Black,
I can't do that.
It's red. It's
I have
like,
seen photos. It does look amazing.
I mean, it's insane. So the simple corn. I think the Spanish basically took the wrong stuff. They took one type of corn, one rubbish potato that caused a famine.
Spanish have been accused of a lot of atrocities. Rightly so, can I say. The potato famine being their fault is a new one, I think, that they're going to have to answer for.
Yeah.
I think that's us Brits are getting away with that.
Well, they took the wrong tomato as well. They should have taken the tomatillo as opposed to the tomato.
I've had tomatillo. It is nice. I do think the European tomato is as you would say, the goat. A San Marzano is tough to beat. But
in any case, carrying on with this story. So the Olmecs basically domesticated popcorn, and that created the civilization. We're going to make the argument that the Peruvians domesticated cacao and spread it, and that went north. And that was the essential trade between corn coming south and chocolate going north.
I love it.
And when the chocolate hit the Mesoamerican societies, look, Ed, if you're just going to eat that yellow, jolly green giant corn, you're not going to be super creative. You're not going to be stimulated. You're going to just sit there and eat popcorn like you're watching Netflix. But if I add chocolate into the mix, so you're now in the movie theater, you're eating your popcorn, and you're also consuming chocolate. You're going to get stimulated. You're going to start doing calendars. You're going to think of zero.
You wouldn't want to be annoyed if it's me in the cinema and I'm doing calendars.
Yeah. Your whole creativity and your brain
like, sorry, mate, do you mind waiting and doing calendars until maybe the film's over?
And they might have added ayahuasca in there. But basically, I'm making the case now, here and now, that the whole of the cultural, artistic, mathematical calendar of Mesoamerica comes from chocolate. End of.
Well, we'll discuss it next week. I can't wait. Anyway, I thought a particularly brilliant episode. I really, really enjoyed that one. I really hope you guys did too, and hopefully you'll be able to get your hands on some delicious Peruvian chocolate, because I can't tell you how quickly I'm going to be going into that bag after the cameras turn off and having some more. But yeah, and I'm glad to have Andrew back from his fact-finding mission in Peru. Hopefully it won't be the last fact-finding mission one of us gets to go on, and we can come back with the inside scoop as we have in today's episode. But yes, thank you very much, and hopefully join us next week. I've been Ed.
Andrew. Thank you. Bye.